Do you mind giving me some of the time so you can talk about something? So today is 7th of June 2017, and my name is Amen Owase, and I'm a student in the Bachelor's of Arts program with the College for America at Southern New Hampshire University, and I'm conducting the interview as part of my academic work. And with your consent, I will record this interview and use the information as a deliverable, and I'm working on for the project that I'm also working on. So the interview will be used to create the deliverable that I'm working on and be submitted to College for America so that my project can be evaluated. And the recording will be used solely for this purpose. It means that there's no other purpose for this interview. And the interview information will be temporarily stored in the College for America online evaluation system, to which only the evaluator and College for America staff will have access on. And do you have any questions? Okay. I would like you for the interview to read this statement as a way to show that you accept to be interviewed, and so I can use this interview as my delivery.
So I, Divini Simbi, give my informed consent to participate in this interview to be recorded and used as part of the students' academic work.
Thank you.
I, Redempta Isimbi, give my informed consent to participate in this interview to be recorded and used as part of the students' academic work.
Okay, thank you both. So I think we can proceed with some of the questions that I have for both of you. And the first question is, what are the three branches of the government?
Sorry?
What are the three branches of the government?
Branches.
You just need to tell me what you think. Any answer is accepted.
I have no idea about that.
For me, I think there are three branches, but I only know the executive and the legislative, something like that.
Okay. So thanks for your answers. And the second question is for you, because you have no idea about the branches. So what does those branches do? The ones you know.
So I think the executive branch is about executing maybe something, I don't know, laws or anything else, I don't know. And about the legislative, I think it's all about making laws.
Okay. And so the other question is, Democrats and Republicans are the major parties. Can you name any third party that you know?
No idea.
Is there a third party? I think there isn't a third party. There are only two.
Okay. So my last question for the both of you is, what's the basic process by which a bill becomes a law?
I'm sorry. I don't even know.
I think for the bill to become a law, they just send it to the Senate and then they approve it and it becomes a law.
Okay. So I would like to thank you both for your time and for sharing with me your answers. It was really great and it's helpful. So thank you both. And after the interview, the street interview that I had with both Divine and Redempta, I took some time to make a research and get the right information about the questions that I asked them. So about the question on the branches of the government, there are three branches of the government. There is legislative, judiciary, and executive. So legislative is also known as the Congress, which makes laws. It means that this branch is responsible for making laws that are enforced by the executive branch. So the judiciary It includes the Supreme Court and the 9 justices. So this branch, it interprets the laws which are made or which are set by the legislative branch. And for the executive, this is the part of the government which is administered by the president, and the president enforces the laws which are made by the legislative branch. So for the other part of how these branches are regulated to ensure the check and the balance. So all branches share in one another's powers, so that it can be possible to check and balance one another. So it means that the legislative branch and the executive branch, they work together to make laws. So this is where the president has the ability to make laws, which means that he or she can work hand in hand with the legislative branch, so that they can come up with the laws which are interpreted by the judiciary branch. So another thing is that the judiciary branch, it does not get in contact with these two branches, because it has to stay unbiased. Because if you be part of making the laws and then you interpret them, you might be biased. So this branch, it kind of it keeps a distance from these two branches, so that it cannot be biased during the process of interpreting the laws. So well, let's now go to how the two system of parties began. So the two-party system began in 1789 to 1801. So it was referred to as the Federalist era, where there was Federalist Party and Democratic Republican Party. So the dominant party was the Federalist, which means that it dominated in the politics and in the setting of the laws. So the Republicans were founded in 1792 by Jefferson and James Madison. This party was created to oppose the Federalist Party. So it means that they created, or they founded another party which was opposing the dominant party, which was the Federalist Party. So this party was referred to as the Anti-Federalist or the Democratic Republican Party. So in 1924, in 1830s, Jacksonian faction turned into a Democratic Party, whereas in 1924, the Republican Party was divided into two parts, which are Jacksonian faction and the Henry Clay faction. And then also, this is to say that in the Republican Party there were two parts. It means they divided the party into two parts, which is Jacksonian faction and Henry Clay faction. And then in 1830s, Jacksonian faction turned into Democratic Party, whereas the Henry Clay became a third party. It means that the other two parts which were divided from the Republican Party, one which is Henry Clay, it became a third party, and whereas the Jacksonian faction, it turned into the Democratic Party of today. And some other people who were anti-slavery, they came together and formed the Republican Party of today. So that's where the two parties, the Republican and the Democratic Party, came from. So an example of a third party is Green Party. So there are very many examples of third parties in the United States, but I mentioned one, which is the Green Party. So I'm going also to talk about the impact of the third parties in the American politics. So one is that the third parties organize and mobilize around single issue opposition. So they also put pressure on candidates from major political parties to discuss major issues. So these parties are responsible, or they they play a big part in making sure that the candidates of the major political parties in the U.S. They make sure that they discuss on the major issues in the country. So another impact is that third-party candidates can win the candidates of the major political parties. So it's obvious that they can be able to win those candidates from major political parties, which are Republicans and Democrats. So that's also another impact that can happen, which is caused by the third party. And also for the last question about how a bill turns into a law, we're going to look at the steps, or we're going to move step by step, looking at how a bill can become a law. So first of all, any member of Congress can be able to introduce a bill, and but the president cannot be able to introduce a bill. Instead, he can draft, or it means the president or any other person in the executive branch, they cannot be able to introduce a bill. So what they do, they can draft the bill and give it to a member of Congress, and then he or she can move on and introduce the bill. So once the bill is introduced, it is referred to a committee. It means it's the committee in the Congress. So then the research is done on the bill. It means they conduct different researches to make a study on that particular bill that is introduced in the Congress. So the members of Congress may invite members of the public or the members of the interest group to speak, whereby they will influence the outcomes of the bill. So it means during that period of making the research or making a study on the bill that is introduced, this committee that is in charge of the bill, it conducts the thing which is known as hearings. So they conduct it to get different informations on the bills. They can use the members of the public or the members of the interest groups, which will play a big part in influencing the outcomes of the bill. So after the hearings, the committee will make revisions and additions to the bill. So once the majority of the Senate approves that bill, in the House, there is another committee which is known as the Rules Committee. So this committee sets the terms at which the bill will be considered, like, for example, how much time to spend, for example, debating on the bill. So this committee sets different rules or terms which will be considered in the entire process of discussing on the bill within the Senate. So once the bill is approved by the majority of the Senate, then it is sent to the House. Then at the House, they also pass through the same process, researching, making hearings from the members of the public or the members of the interest groups, and then they can make a conclusion or from the debates on the bills. So then after they get the results from the Senate and the results from the House, then they make something like a conference. So this conference will be having a committee which will use the results from the Senate and the results from the House. So they'll have to compare these results. Then they need to vote. So it means that the Senate will vote the bill, and then the House will also vote the bill. So once one of them doesn't vote the bill will automatically be lost, if I may say. So then once both parts approves the bill, then the bill is sent to the president for approval or for the signature. Then once the president signs this bill, then the bill automatically turns into the law, and it can be published or communicated to the entire public. So something to pay attention on here is that when the president spends like 10 days without making or without signing the bill, so the bill will be taken back to the Senate or to the Congress. Then when it gets more votes, it will automatically become a law without the approval of the president. So I think that's all. Thank you for your time.